So number 2, let's talk this through one more time. Number 2 does not have a value out here. If there was a plus or minus, that would be my horizontal line. But since there's not, I am not going to go through, actually let's keep the lines the same color as what we did last time. I'm not going to go through the x-axis. Right here. I'm going to get real close to it, but we're never going to actually go through it. Now, let me explain why we don't go through that line. If I think about fractions, everybody, let's say I start with 1 over 1. If I start with 1 over 1, is everybody good with that being 1? You guys don't need to write this down. You guys don't need to write this down. This is just to help understand maybe why we don't get to this pink line. 1 over 2 is 0.5. Is that bigger or smaller than 1? Are we asleep? Are we okay? Is 1 over 2? Is that bigger or smaller than 1? Smaller, right? And then 1 over 3 would be like 0.333 going on forever. 1 over 4, 0.25. 1 over 10 is 0.01. What's happening to my numbers? Actually, no, just 0.1. 0.1. What's happening to my numbers is as the bottom part gets bigger? Yeah, Londra's right. Is everybody else clear with this too? The bigger the number that I multiply or divide by on the bottom, the smaller my answer is. So I could keep going. I could do 1 over 20, 1 over 100, 1 over 1,000. The bigger this number gets, the smaller what it actually equals. And so the idea is, as I put in bigger numbers for 1 over x, I get closer and closer to 0. But I never actually get there. There's always going to be something. 1 divided by 1,000,000 is still something. Does that make sense? 1 divided by the biggest number you can think of. There's still an answer there. It's not 0, but it's getting really close. Does that idea make sense? So we get closer and closer to this pink line, but we never make it there. And we'd also said that I can't divide by 0. And so, x plus 2. What would make x plus 2 equal to 0? What number would I plug in for x to make that 0? -2. Remember we talked about this shifting our graph left 2? Because if I put in -2, that would make me divide by 0. So those are the two lines that I'm not going to cross. Again, 0, you can think of this one as plus 0. That's for the pink line, up and down. Inside the denominator, that's the orange line. It moves left and right. So now, I'm going to plug some numbers in on either side of the orange line. So x, y, let's give ourselves lots of room to do some work here. So -2. If I put -2 in, I get 3 over -2 plus 2. And -2 plus 2 is 0. I can't divide 3 by 0. It's undefined. That's my orange line. I can't have a point on there. But I can plug in -3. 3 over -3 plus 2 is 3 over -1, which is just -3. So I plugged in -3. 1, 2, 3. I got out -3. So actually down 1, 2, 3 right here. Plugged in -3, got out -3. Now let's try plugging in -4. 3 over -4 plus 2 would be 3 over negative 2, or negative 1.5. So I plug in negative 4, I get out negative 1.5. Right there. If I kept going, if I plugged in, say, negative 5, if I plugged in negative 5, I should get out negative 1. Right there. You can put in as many points as you want, you guys. We can get a lot of different points here. But really, we just need like 1 or 2 on both sides. So let's plug in negative 1. 3 over negative 1 plus 2 is 3 over positive 1, or just 3. So we plugged in negative 1, we've got out 3. Plug in 0. 3 over 0 plus 2. 3 halves, or 1.5. That'll be right there. I could plug in 1. 3 over 1 plus 2 would be 3 over 3. Just be 1. Plug in 1, get out 1. Again, the hope is that we start to see the shape of the graph, that it starts off next to the pink line but below it, goes through those points, and then down. Starts off up here, comes down, goes through those 3 points, and again levels off without ever crossing that pink line. There's our graph. So now I want you guys to try number 3. The very first thing, everyone should draw in the 1 horizontal, 1 vertical line. Make sure those are good, and then check with me. Go to the bathroom. Oh, back. Number 2. Yep, you're welcome. Okay, so try that, you guys. Get those horizontal and vertical lines down for number 3. Then have me check them. I'll be right there. Where are your 2 lines in? So remember the number on the outside. So in this case, the -2 right here, is going to move your line down 2. Right? The number on the outside is up or down. So negative, and here, let me already put this on there. Up for K is if it's plus a number. Down for K is if it looks like minus a number. Whereas here, because the negative's in there, left is when we do plus H. Right is going to be when we do minus H. So that means, again, because of this one, you're going to have a line at negative 2. Yep, draw a line at negative 2. And then you're going to have another one here, left 2. So it's going to be down through negative 2, but vertical, right there. Down through negative 2. It looks like negative 1 to me. Does that make sense? Just be careful there. And then plug in some points on either side. There's a horizontal line right there that we don't go through. So draw a line right there, -2. Okay, that's at 0. Right? So we're going to go through -2 right here. There's -2. Yep, one there. And then that, the line you just drew is for this one, x plus 2. That's correct, because it's the opposite. But then the one that goes this way, we want it to go through.
This man's getting off the wheelchair.
Right here, we're going to go through -2. Does that make sense? That was the horizontal one. Or sorry, perpendicular. Right here. Does that make sense? Go ahead and draw that in, and then plug in a point on either side. Okay, guys, make sure you're plugging in points on both sides. Get your graph. I know some of you have got this. Some of you it's nice and easy. Okay, guys, I know that these are hard. This is not the kind of graphing that we're used to doing, but you need to try it. I can help you if you're stuck. So if you're not even trying it, I don't know whether you're doing okay, whether this is easy, whether we need help. The two lines are going to draw. This one is going to be down at -2. It's right there. And so you're not going to go through this line. And then this one is the opposite of what we're saying. So -2, that's going to be right here. You're not going to go through that one. And so here, the points you're going to pick are going to be on either side of -2. So that means you might want to pick like -3 and -4, and hopefully get some points down here. And then pick maybe 0 and 1, or 0, -1 and 0. Like this one's good, this one's good. -1, -3, you've already got that one. So that should have been, -1 plus 2 should be 1. 3 over 1 would be 3, and 3 minus 2 is 1. Does that make sense? So you plugged in -1, get out +1 right there.
Thank you.
So, yeah, no, keep going. That's good. Okay, we're not staying very focused right here. Let's work these out together. So you got it? All right. So, real fast then. For number 3, Alondra, can you tell me one of the two lines that you don't cross?
-2.
Is that the horizontal or the vertical one?
I forgot which one's which.
So vertical would go up and down.
Oh, that's
Hor-
the vertical.
Okay, so we have a vertical line at -2. Again, I'm going to use just pen here. Hopefully it shows up. That's from this piece. Because if I put -2 in, -2 plus 2 would be 0. Okay? But now I also need the horizontal line that I don't cross. So Haley, what do you think? What's the horizontal line that we don't cross? It's also -2. It's right here. Now what that means is when we make our T-chart, kind of the middle number is going to be -2 for this line right here. -2 is going to be undefined. I'm not going to get an answer. So you need to plug in -3 and -4. -1 and 0 would be the best things to plug in. If you have not plugged those in already, I'm going to give you 2 minutes to work those out, and then we're going to go over them. I'm going to call on you guys. You're going to tell me what you got. Work through those 4 points. -4, -3, -1, and 0. Get those points down. If you already have, you can keep going. You can do 4 and 5 and 6. We need to get those down. So I'm not supposed to. Yes, today that's fine. Let's go over these. -3. You plug in -3. 3 over -3 plus 2 minus 2. What did we get here? Oops. Carson, did you get an answer for plugging in -3? Okay, so let's work it out, Carson. And you can use your, again, this is for everybody. You can use your calculators. That's why you've got them. Carson, what's -3 plus 2? Now it'll be -1. And 3 divided by -1 is still negative. Well, it ends up being -3, right? Does that make sense? And so what's -3 minus 2, Carson? If this whole thing is -3 subtracting 2, -3 minus 2, what does that make? So if they're both negative, they kind of add together. So what's 3 plus 2? It'll be -5. So we end up with -5 when we plug that in. So -3, -1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 1 point on our graph. Amato, did you plug in one of the other points, -4 or -1? What'd you get for -1? Okay, well, let's work it out together then. What's negative 1 plus 2, Amato? It is just 1. And so you've got 3 divided by 1. What's 3 divided by 1? Okay, and then 3 minus 2. Yep. So we plug in negative 1, we get out positive 1. There's another point on our graph. So we're getting there. We really would like to have at least one other point on either side. This is the minimum. Like even right here, I could draw in my graph and be good enough. It's going to be going along, and come down kind of and go through there. Like this would be enough. It would be the bare minimum to sketch my graph here. But it would really be good to get at least one more in there. All right, let's do number 4. Let's do number 4 because we're running a little bit short on time here. For number 4, I need the horizontal and vertical lines. I need those asymptotes that I'm not going to cross. Let me try color coding this a little bit differently. So this plus 1 right here. What does that mean about the line that I'm not going to cross? Caitlin, where would that line be? And we got the notes up there on the board too if you need it.
Up 1?
Yep. So we're just going to have a horizontal line right here at positive 1. That's the line I'm not crossing. Now this plus 3 down here is also going to give me a line. This one's going to be the vertical line that I'm not going to cross. Let's get somebody that's here. Wait. Yeah, so Christian. Where would this one go? That plus 3. Is that going to take us left 3 or right 3, Christian? You can check up there. Let's say if it's a positive. It's going to go left 3. So we're going to go left 1, 2, 3. Does that make sense? So we've got those two. It's all worked out. Now I need to get a couple points on either side. So for number 4, we've got our 2 asymptotes that we don't cross. Let's get a couple points on either side of negative 3. So when I'm clicking these, I know that if I put in negative 3, I get undefined. It won't work. It'll give me an error. But I can put in numbers on either side of that. Negative 4, negative 5, negative 2, negative 1. So everybody, try putting in negative 4 right now. Everybody put in negative 4. Anybody get an answer yet? Kenji, did you get an answer?
No, not yet.
Okay, so what's negative 4 plus 3, Kenji?
Negative 1.
And 2 divided by negative 1?
1.
Not quite. When you divide 2 by negative 1, 2 over 1 is still just 2, but the negative is going to make it negative. Does that make sense? So we've got negative 2 plus 1. What does that make?
Plus 1.
Mm-hmm.
Negative 1.
Negative 1. So we plugged in negative 4. We got out negative 1. There's 1 point. If I plug in negative 2 then, 2 over negative 2 plus 3 plus 1. Let's work that one out together. Let's get someone that I haven't called on yet today. Parmjot. Actually, maybe I did call on you, but you can finish it. Parmjot, what's negative 2 plus 3? Just 1. And what's 2 divided by 1? Not quite. 2 divided by 1 is 2. And then 2 plus 1. What's that, Parmjot? 3. So we put in negative 2. We got out 1, 2, 3. Again, that is the minimum required to make this graph. To come down, hit that point, and level out. Here, come down. Again, it would be really good if you're getting negative 5 and negative 1 also. Now for 5 and 6, and then CART students, you can head out after this. For 5, I'm looking at this and I'm seeing a horizontal asymptote at negative 2. I'm seeing a vertical asymptote at positive 4. The opposite. But this negative right here, this negative is going to flip my graph upside down. And let's see if that actually happens. If I plug in 3, negative 1 over 3 minus 4 minus 2. 3 minus 4 would be negative 1. Negative 1 over negative 1 minus 2. 1 over negative 1 is negative 1. But I already had a negative on that. Negative 1 is actually going to make it positive 1. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. So we put in negative, or we put in 3. We got out negative 1 right here. So see how that one's above it? It's going to end up looking like this. Above the pink line and up and up. And then if I plug in 5, I'm going to end up getting negative 3. It's going to be right here. It's flipped upside down from what we're used to. So your homework, CART students and everybody else, is number 6. Whether you want to do it right now, which we've got 5 minutes. Those of you that aren't heading for CART, you could do it right now. Try number 6. This is due tomorrow. Have a good day. I'll see you tomorrow. The rest of you, finish up number 6 right now.